Welcome to the third tutorial in solving a system of linear equations. Today we're looking at method 4, elimination. What does this mean? This means that we are going to figure out which variable to eliminate. So we're only left with one variable in the equation, so then we can solve for that variable. So how are we going to do that? We're going to look for the variable that we can find the lowest common multiple of, and then be able to eliminate it. So the trick is, let us look for the variable with the lowest common multiple. Let's look at an example, and we'll work through this so you can see. We have Connie. She downloaded 2 orders of games and songs. The first order consisted of 5 games and 4 songs, and it cost her a total of $26. The second order consisted of 3 games and 2 songs for a total cost of $15. Now it's important to note that all games cost the same and all songs cost the same. So the first thing we have to do with our situation of Connie and her downloading is write a system of linear equations. So we know that 5 games and 4 songs equaled $26. We also know that 3 games and 2 songs equaled $15. Oh look, now we have our linear equations. So the next part is to determine the cost of one song and the cost of one game. Well, how are we going to do that? So the first step is figure out which variable are we going to eliminate. So if we look at, we have the G's or we have the S's. The G's, I would have to change both equations because 5 and 3, they're not a lowest common multiple until we get to 15. But the 4 and 2, for the S's, the lowest common multiple is 4. So I'd only have to change one equation. So I'm going to look at eliminating the S variable. So I know that if I take 3G plus 2S equal 15, and I multiply the whole thing by 2, both sides, then I will get 4S. So I have 2 times 3G plus 2S equals 15 times 2. So I have 6G plus 4S equals 30. So now I can use that with my system of equations. So I'm going to rewrite. So the first step was, of course, using multiplication, using multiply to get the LCM. My step 2 is I'm going to rewrite it. Now I'm going to rewrite both equations. So I have 5G plus 4S equals 26. That one I haven't changed. And the one that I did change, of course, I'm going to write it as 6G plus 4S equals 30. So those are my 2 equations now. The third step, what I'm going to do is I'm either going to add or subtract. In this case, I'm going to subtract because I have to get a 0 for these 4 S's. So I'm going to subtract the equations. So what does this look like, Miss Carla? Well, I have 5G plus 4S equals 26. Subtract 6G plus 4S equals 30. I'm subtracting the whole thing. So of course, if I distribute this in amongst, so I have, if I take them both individually, now I have 5G minus 6G. That leaves me with, what? It leaves me with 1 minus 1G. If I take 4s minus 4s. Of course, I am left with 0s. And 26 minus 30 leaves me with minus 4. So just rework this. I have minus g equals minus 4, and of course, g equals 4. So again, I subtract to eliminate the s variable. And then here, all I did was solve for g. Now step 4, this is where I solve for my remaining variable. So I'm going to solve for the remaining variable, which is g. Or sorry, s. Because I have an answer for g right here. So now I'm going to substitute g equals 4 into either equation. I'm going to put it into the first equation. So I have 5 times 4 plus 4s equals 26. So I have 20 plus 4s equals 26. And of course, I have to bring my 20 to the other side, which gives me 26 minus 20. So 4s equals 6. And s equals 1.5. So now I have g equals 4, and I have an s equals 1.5. How do I know that this works? Now we have to do our check, and I've talked about doing the check in the other tutorials, but in case you missed it, so I'm going to substitute g equals 4 and s equals 1.5 into both equations, and then see if my left side equals the right side. So, if we start with the first equation, which was 5g plus 4s equals 26, and I have 5 times 4 plus 4 times 1.5 equals 26, so that gives me with 20 plus 6 equals 26, so I have 26 equals 26, and yes, that checks out because my left side does in fact equal my right side. Now let's check the second equation. I'm going to use my original, so before I changed it to eliminate the s's, so my original was 3g plus 2s equals 15, and of course that gives me 3 times 4 plus 2 times 1.5 equals 15. And that gives me 12 plus 3 equals 15, and 15 equals 15. So yes, my left side does in fact equal my right side. So, therefore, the cost to download one game equals $4, and the cost to download one song is $1.50. So let's have you try a question. We have the perimeter of a rectangular garden is 17.00 meters. Triple the length is 2.46 meters longer than 5 times the width. So now we need to interpret what this situation is telling us to write a system of equations. The perimeter of the rectangle of the garden is 17.00 meters. Well, I know if I draw a rectangle, and if my perimeter is 17.00 meters, I know that it has to deal with length and width. And I know that 2 length plus 2 width equals 17.00. How do I interpret the second situation, which is triple the length is 2.46 meters longer than 5 times the width? Triple the length means 3 times the length. And they're saying is, or equals, 2.46 meters longer. so that's a plus, then 5 times the width. So 5 times the width. What I'm going to do is I need to rewrite this second equation so my variables are all on one side. So I'd like you to do that. Stop the video, do that, and then use elimination to solve, and come back for the answer. Welcome back. And of course, if you rewrote, then you would have 2L plus 2W equals 17, and 3L minus 5W equals 2.46, and then you can go ahead and eliminate one of the variables. Once you've done that, you should have gotten the width equal to 2.88 meters and the length equal to 5.62 meters. I hope you did your check to make sure that your solution was in fact correct. If you haven't, stop the video, go ahead and do the check, make sure left side equals right side for both of the equations, come back for the answer. Welcome back. And yes, your check, you would have found that left side equals right side for both equations. And your answer would be correct.